What a day to be alive. We are so glad to have you join us on this edition of Idea Morning Digest, where we dive into discussions around science, technology, policies, education, entrepreneurship, agriculture, and everything that concerns you and I as long as Africa as a continent is concerned. My name is Chinatu Oji, and I'm not alone. I have
Cynthia Pacific.
Melanin Poppin Cynthia.
I was looking at you because you must always give me that cue to start. Good morning, viewers, and good to be here with you, Chinatu.
Always a
Yeah,
pleasure.
like we always tell you, if you like what we do here, if you like things around science, if you like things around development, research, education, technology, innovation, and a whole lot of bright ideas, this is the right place to be. You can follow us at Idea Television across all our social media platforms, and of course, send in your opinions, send in your comments, send in your questions to us at ideatelevisionlimited@gmail.com. That's our email address.
Yes, you heard Cynthia, and of course, it's being displayed on the screen right now for you. So do well to keep the conversation going. And if you'd also like to be featured on any of our Idea Morning Digest episodes, we've discussed something that you think, yes, you have an input to make, you have an opinion different or aligning with our own, do well to also reach out to us across, our email address and of course social media. We are always active, 247 active to, respond and have you on board. We can't wait to have you. But on that note, we go on a short break. When we return, it'll be time to dive into the conversation. News making headlines today. Stay with us.
Welcome back. It's still the Idea Morning Digest, and if you're just joining us, good to have you with us. Right about now, we want to bring you up to speed with the news making headlines and making waves across Africa and across Nigeria.
All right, starting out first is the news about Netflix unveiling the first AI generated scene in sci fi series, The Eternaut. Netflix has made a landmark move in television production by incorporating generative artificial intelligence into one of its original series for the first time. A major scene in the Eternaut, a new Argentine sci-fi drama, features a building collapse created entirely with AI-generated visual effects. The company said the use of AI allowed the scene to be completed at a speed and cost that would have been impossible with traditional visual effects. The sequence, which might have otherwise strained the show's budget, was produced around 10 times faster thanks to generative technology. This development marks the first time final AI-generated footage has appeared on screen in a Netflix original film or series. It signals a significant shift in the streaming giant's production approach, particularly for mid and lower budget projects that still aim for high impact visuals. The announcement coincided with Netflix's latest financial report, which showed revenue rising to $11.8 billion in the second quarter of 2025, 16% higher than the same period last year. The strong performance was driven in part by the final season of Squid Game, which has already drawn 122 million views. Despite innovation, the use of AI in entertainment remains a topic of controversy. The 2023 Hollywood strikes brought widespread attention to concerns over automation in creative industries, with unions demanding protection for actors, writers, and visual artists. Netflix maintains that its use of AI is designed to support and not replace creative professionals. The company frames the technology as a tool that expands what's possible in filmmaking, especially for stories that require scale without blockbuster budgets. With the Ethernet, Netflix has taken a clear step into the AI era, offering a glimpse at how the future of content creation may blend human vision with machine precision. Since this is a very interesting story, we keep talking about the fact that AI is here to stay, and whether we like it or not, we must move with the times. And see it getting into the film industry. I know that we use AI very well for video editing now, even though some people still do not believe that AI can be used for film editing. But it is pertinent to see how much budget using AI effects could cost for the film Eternauts. See Netflix coming out to talk about the fact that it was now faster to use generative AI to produce the film at a shorter time at a budget that was 10 times lower. That's something to be proud of, and that's something that we must, hold to mind and think about every time we think that AI is here to take the jobs from us. AI is here to stay, and like it's stated, AI is here to make the work easier, not replace us. But then, the other time we were talking about how AI is used. We also saw the downside of it where people said in movies, I think you mentioned it, in movies where they didn't even feature,
Yeah.
they saw themselves because AI was used. So you see that AI can make and also mar. AI can make or mar depending on how you use it. So how do you want to use AI? Do you want to use it for the good or for the bad?
Mm. A very, very pertinent question, I must say. I mean, this is a timely event. This is something that is happening at the time it is supposed to happen, because we know that we are in a digitalized world, so we cannot have it any other way. And just like you've said, this is not happening in a vacuum. Sorry, this has happened before, um, and now we've complained about this in 2023, which you cited already, and this is coming again just after 2 years, but it's coming this time with more. I don't know how should I put it. This is, I mean, this is we've had a lot of concerns about AI displacing people, taking people's jobs, but we've seen what AI have done so far and is still doing. I mean, it's coming with a whole lot of support, not replacement, if we look at it on the brighter side. But then again, we have questions of, ethical considerations, all of those talk. Because even in, this is not the first time we've seen innovation come to play. We remember the time when there was no green screen. There was no, VFX and all of those things. And then we saw that it started coming in, the use of, what do they call it, this green screen and VFX started coming in with films like a Matrix and all of those things, where we have Blade and all of those things. So people saw new things and people were happy with it, and we saw a lot of things happen, a lot of things that couldn't be actualized with just the normal human capacity. Although AI is still controlled by human capacity, but that cannot happen like with humans' capacity. When I mean capacity, I mean physically and maybe on time, in fast pace and all of those things. It began to happen with the evolution of some of these innovations. We saw them happening. Let's come down to even Nollywood. I want to look at the brighter. I'm choosing to look at the brighter side of this news, because let's come down to Nollywood. Think of Nollywood where we have, let's say, our budgets. Nollywood always have limited budget. I've been in the film industry for a while, for like say 2-3 years, and I have seen the in, outs, ups and downs of the movie industry. Their major problem is financing.
Yeah.
So when we have problems like funding, and we have Nollywood where we have to struggle with budgets, and we have a lot of bright minds, bright ideas. Some people want to, see maybe some action scenes manifest in Nollywood movies, some, Boozley and all of those kicks and all of those things, but they cannot. So what other way can we bring it home? What other way can we actualize this? What other way can it manifest in this part of the world, in Nollywood, some of these blockbuster movies? AI can help, cover that gap and make us see, it can enable creators down here in Nigeria at the end of the day. So I'm just, like I said, I'm choosing to, see the brighter side of this AI inclusion in the movie industry, and I'm choosing not to just linger on the
On the
fears
bad side,
alone. Exactly.
it's really the good side, because when you think about, you mentioned Hollywood movies, or even Bollywood, and you see some of the stunts that you just know that what is this? How can somebody jump from that place to
this?
But AI even makes it look real now. So because those
generative AI,
yes, those effects that they used those days, you could just tell that it was too fake. but now you can say a whole building collapsed, and you're even
Collapse.
struggling to know to decipher if it is an actual building that
Building.
collapsed or it was AI. So you have to actually look very well and be so detailed. If you do not have an eye for criticism or noting things, you may never know. In short, even when
Mm.
you have the eyes, sometimes you may be tempted to be told that,
Mm.
oh, this is not
Not.
real, this is
Mm.
AI, for you to even know.
Even. Well, a
So,
lot of people will be asking at what cost oh, will reality,
mm,
be traded for, algorithms this time around. But, well, like I said, let's just dwell on the good side of it because let's just take it that it's for entertainment
yeah,
at the end
for
of
the
the day.
good side
Yeah.
only.
So let's move to the next story we have. Burkina Faso junta abolishes electoral commission, tightens grip on power amid rising violence. Burkina Faso's ruling military junta has officially dissolved the country's electoral commission, declaring it as a costly and unnecessary body. The decision, announced on the state-run RTB television, shifts the responsibility of organizing future elections to the Ministry of Interior. Authorities say the move will cut expenses and strengthen national sovereignty over the electoral process. According to Territorial Administration Minister Emile Zebo, the commission was receiving annual subsidies of approximately $870,000, which the government now deems unjustifiable. He also claimed that eliminating the commission would reduce foreign influence over the country's democratic processes. The decision is the latest in a series of sweeping actions by the military rulers who came to power in September 2022, led by Captain Ibrahim Traore. Following frustrations with the previous government's failure to stop the growing Islamist insurgency, elections originally scheduled for 2024 have already been postponed until July 2029, extending the junta's transitional period by 5 years. The change allows Captain Traore to remain in power and makes him eligible to run in the next presidential election. Since taking control, the junta has severed ties with former colonial power France and aligned itself with Russia. At the same time, human rights groups have accused the military of widespread abuses, including civilian killings, repression of political opposition, and restrictions on press freedom. Meanwhile, violence in the country continues to surge. In the first half of 2025 alone, Al-Qaeda-linked jihadist group JNIM claimed responsibility for over 280 attacks, double the figure for the same period in 2024, according to BBC verified data. These developments have raised serious concerns about the military strategy and the capacity to restore stability. As the junta consolidates control and pushes back elections further into the future, Burkina Faso faces growing domestic and international scrutiny over its democratic backsliding and deteriorating security situations. Wow, you say I heard you you were sighing seriously when I was
I'm
reading the
surprised.
news. I mean, this is not surprising to me.
Okay.
Yes, it isn't surprising because since Ibrahim Traore seized power in 2022, we've sort of witnessed because I've been following his reign is sort of kind of interesting to me because there's a juxtaposition of democracy and autocracy
Mm.
here
So
somehow.
where does
That's
it stand?
so people are beginning to. I mean, people not beginning. People have been questioning. They have revolutionists are questioning. Republicans are questioning.
Civilian.
People, civilians are questioning. Like, where do you stand? What do you want? Do you want to use our head? Because they've seen this
Use
happen
our
in.
head.
That's use their. They feel like let's
Yeah,
to use the
I
layman. Well,
understand.
people are like
Are you sure he's not
he's
finding a
you
way to
get
just
what do you
play
want to
smart?
get with this because they see authoritarian rule slowly encroaching
Mm.
democracy. That's what people are seeing here. We've witnessed somehow we've even witnessed the erosion of democracy in Burkina Faso. Somehow, I'm not saying for sure, but with what people are saying, there's a whole lot of concern here. So now to this, eliminating the electoral commission. I mean, the electoral body is like one of the most, you know, is like one of the most strategic, or is one of the strongest pillar of a democratized nation. So if you have, and this is what at the end of the day makes elections transparent. This is what makes elections impartial. So when you remove, this is just like you, let's say you are removing a referee in a football match,
Mm.
and then you are giving the role of the referee to one of the players. How are we going to now call shots? How are we going to now call, penalties? How are we going to now call, cite red flags or issue red flags or yellow flags? Because removing the electoral, eliminating an electoral commission in democracy, there's a problem. It's
Mm.
like you are dismantling everything already, and that's why people are saying this is authoritarian rules slowly coming in. So I think we have not. This is not the first time this has happened. Like I said before, it has happened before. I think far back in the 1980s, where I've forgotten the name of one of their, hmm, where he seized power. What's his name? Hmm, I think Blaze, but it's confused. I wanted to say Andre Blaze, but no, not Andre Blaze. I think Blaze. I think he seized power in the 1980s, and then he brought about the whole, we want to downplay, what do they call it, indirect rule, because he's bringing it in the with the idea of we want to downplay indirect rule. In short, we do not want indirect rule in Burkina Faso at all. But then at the end of the day, we see this turning into something that people feel that they will no longer, they are trading it for their own freedom. So I think this is bigger than us. It's when we talk political issues like this, I I do not want to. I don't know if you have anything to, say about this.
I totally like your submission, Cynthia. It's beginning to look like, are we about to have another
Mm,
military takeover? It's already
mm,
a military
mm,
takeover, but is it going to be sustained?
mm,
Because the one thing I know about military takeover, apart from the fact that civilians do not appreciate it, of course, because for obvious reasons,
mm,
how it makes freedom
mm,
very tough. I don't know how to put it, but
mm,
we're looking up to see what Traore will do with this.
mm,
But he's aligning supposedly with Russia, and you know that, you know what Russia represents when it comes to power as well. So we are about to see a new dawn,
mm.
but we can't wait. But the
Since
electoral body now,
2029.
it's
Wow. It's really
it's too
it's too
long. It's
long.
too long a time. So
Mm,
what's going to be happening before
mm,
then? More chaos and more
mm.
chaotic decisions, because and in all of this, it's the masses that I pity.
Pity, because already they're already suffering from different
Yes,
attacks.
they are. And you know, you
Over
can't even tell
280 attacks
over.
at
So
this
can we
point in
already
time.
just
So,
cease fire? Because if not for anything,
mm,
for the sake of the masses. But we
mm,
cannot dwell on this. Let's move on to the
yeah,
next
we have
story.
to.
President Tinubu renames University of Maiduguri after late President Muhammadu Buhari. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has officially renamed the University of Maiduguri as Muhammadu Buhari University in honor of the late former president who passed away earlier this week. The announcement was made during a special Federal Executive Council FEC session in Abuja, where tributes poured in for the late statesman, remembered both as a former military ruler and a two-term civilian president. Tinubu described the renaming as a gesture of national gratitude for Buhari's lifelong commitment to public service. He highlighted Buhari's historic ties to the Northeast, especially in counter-insurgency efforts, as well as his lasting imprint on Nigeria's democratic evolution and military legacy. The renamed institution will now stand as a symbol of Buhari's legacy, particularly in a region that defined much of his presidency's security agenda. The Ministry of Education is expected to announce implementation plans and formal procedures for the name change in the coming days. The move has drawn reactions nationwide, including praise from Buhari's former spokesperson, Femi Adesina, and other political allies who hailed the gestures timely and appropriate. I mean, what were we expecting? It's not. This doesn't come as a surprise. Ex-president or late president Muhammadu Buhari handed over to Tinubu, our current president, and so it is only what's doing well that he acknowledges his predecessor. It is only what doing well, because whether we like it or not, I like to say that they were good friends. For the longest, their relationship was cordial to the eyes of everyone. And so what kind of person will I be if my predecessor, if my good friend passed on and there was nothing to hold on to as a legacy? It will call for lots of questioning, but I like the fact that he was able to do this for President Muhammadu Buhari, because whether we like it or not, his name is registered in the history of Nigeria. It is etched in this land. And so we can only but amplify those legacies. And through this implementation, when it is done, the University of Maiduguri will now be called the Muhammadu Buhari University. And it's something that, what can we say? I know that after his birth, there were lots of controversies of people, people saying a lot of things. But then, a legacy is a legacy, right? So, this may not sit well with some people who had problem with his leadership style. But however, every leader must leave a legacy behind. And it is only right that that legacy is honored. And so, we cannot totally say that this is at the expense of anything. No, it is really just about honoring a man who led this country, a man who handed over to the current president. So indeed, when we say rest in peace, with all of this, he can actually rest in peace.
What I mean, interesting statement.
Because no, since I think about it, imagine that somebody dies and there's nothing to remember
them for.
And nobody can think. Now, if a child is admitted into that school, the child first, who is Muhammadu Buhari?
And
but I'm not talking about
history going.
This generation. Young children who are in primary school who didn't know him, who don't know him. Imagine a 1-year-old child gets admission in the University of Maiduguri. That is history. We must always teach history. That was why I had a problem when it was noted that history was scrapped out of the curriculum in schools. We must always go back to history. So it's not something that we can do with. And Buhari is part of history.
Okay. I really like the angle you've seen this from, because just like you've stated, a lot of people want to see this from other aspects and like, why is this necessary? But it's very necessary. Respect must be given to who respect is due. More than just this is a legacy, and we must. He has lived his life. And for us to still be talking about him until today, it means he has left something in our minds, whether good, whether bad, but he has left something in our. I mean, for you to be able to take up the mantle of leadership alone, it's a very big deal. I see it as a very big deal. So somehow, whether for good or for bad, you must leave something on the face of this earth. And our late president have played his own role. He's left something with us, and that's why we are still celebrating him today, no matter which way you choose to celebrate him. I see this more than just a partisan motive. It's for his legacy, and at the end of the day too, even as we are trying to give respect to whom respect is due, we're trying to cite legacies here. We should also ensure that these universities to have something, as we are marking this university or giving them new names of people that hold substance, we should also ensure that these universities to hold substance. Yes, innovation, there should be more, infrastructural facilities should be put in place, because you cannot go to a university that you see is named after our late president, whom we respect, and then you go and that university is just there. So I think they should reflect the names of these people they are being named after. Very important. Yeah, and that brings us to the last news Nelfund, still on education, Nelfund flags 900% tuition hike in 10 tertiary institutions, hot student loan disbursements. The Nigerian Education Loan Fund, Nelfund, has raised alarm over an explosive 900% increase in tuition fees by 10 tertiary institutions for the current academic session, warning that such drastic hikes could cripple the student loan scheme and burden students with unsustainable debt. According to Nelfund's Executive Director of Operations, Mustafa Iyal, some institutions raise fees from around 200,000 naira to as high as 2 million naira, triggering red flags in the agency's automated loan system. The development led to the immediate suspension of loan applications associated with the inflated fee structures. While Iyal did not disclose the names of the affected institutions, he confirmed during a media briefing in Abuja that the agency's systems detected the spike during routine checks and blocked disbursements pending clarification. He expressed concern over the sudden and unverified increases, emphasizing that the student loan initiative is designed for affordability and long-term sustainability. The agency, he said, is already reaching out to the institutions involved to demand explanations. Nelfund's internal review system cross-checks current fees with previous academic records and also relies on feedback from applicants. The fee jumps, some exceeding 1 million naira in a single academic year, were flagged as unjustifiable and potentially damaging the students' financial futures. Education stakeholders have warned that such moves by universities and polytechnics could undermine the credibility and effectiveness of the National Student Loan Scheme, which was created to support access to higher education, not to absorb unchecked institutional pricing. The incident has reignited debates around the tuition regulation, transparency, and the broader challenges facing Nigeria's higher education financing model. Another news to for the recent, I mean, this 10 tertiary institutions allegedly hiked their tuition fees by up to 900% is not, like we always say, we will throw this back to systemic dysfunction in the educational sector, whether we like it or not, because we are talking about an increase from say 200,000 naira that students are already struggling with, to as high as 2 million naira in one academic cycle. I mean, this is about to me about access. This is about equity. Let's check the balance. Let's do a check and balance thing. First of all, to start with, I'm confused. This this has left me really confused, because this is a country where we are battling with poverty, and we know how that has eaten into our society and the lives of people in this country. And now we are not when we talk when things are when they come up with such initiatives, such ideas or whatsoever, do they think of the children's future? Do they think of how we are investing in children's future? Do we really understand what it means to invest in young people's future? That's what I really want to understand here. Let's start with the inflation of the tuition fees. They say it's to commensurate infrastructure improvement, is to commensurate quality education as a whole, to put it in a plain and simple way. But when we look at it, where is this going to come from? We've moved from the days where we had free education to the days where we have little to no free education at all, and where we have public schools, where we have private schools, and then in the middle of this, we are battling with quality education, because we cannot vouch for most of our public schools. that students will go there and get quality education. And then where we think students will get quality education, which is the private sector, private schools, students cannot even afford it.
Sad. Welcome back. It's now time for us to have this very all-important discussion. And as we've started, Nelfund has flagged a 900% tuition hike in 10 tertiary institutions, halting student loan disbursements. According to Nelfund's Executive Director of Operation, Mustafa Iyal, some institutions raised fees from around 200,000 to as high as 2 million, triggering red flags. The agency's automated loan system. Cynthia, this is not funny. What do they aim to achieve with this? Is it because there's now a loan? So you mean that 200, I don't understand. That's like 1.8 million naira extra. What are you saying? From a school fee of 200,000, do you want to kill the student? Do you even want them to go to that school? Do you want them to graduate?
Even if they are saying it's for an academic cycle,
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't still make sense.
It does not make any sense. These are public schools, for God's sake. First of all, the 200,000 is difficult for an average Nigerian family earning minimum wage to raise. In fact, the minimum wage has not even been implemented for many schools. It's not even implemented for many civil servants. 200,000 is not even the salary of many people in this country, whether in the private sector or in the public sector. And then the school decides to raise school fee from 200,000 to 2 million naira. For what? Why? Why? What reason do they have? It's an extortion scheme. Okay, because there is now a loan. Are you now saying that since there's a loan for them to pay, is this not an avenue even still from the government? Okay, the money is not coming. Yes, it's an avenue still from the government.
Okay, since it is coming from
students, it's usually spread over time. It's a loan scheme. So when we increase this money, the government to give them the money. And how does that make sense?
You take from them.
Even if you increase it to 500,000, it's still very high. Look at the reality facing the students right now. And a child will go through school and have to deal with this. No, this is not funny. I like that Nelfund is calling them out. Let those schools receive the right sanctions that they need. Because you can't tell me that in a country where people are not even earning, a lot of people are not even earning the minimum wage. They are not. There are lots of people who are not even earning up to 200,000 naira. And then you want those families to send their children to school. A public school that is now to pay 2 million naira. From where to where? How? Can we be reasonable? Can we even, let's not even work with conscience, but can we be reasonable? Can we put the reality that we are into check? How does it even tally? How? It's not like you're outside Nigeria. You are a Nigerian. It's not funny. So is this not jeopardizing the loan scheme? Because this is how they say ideas come from the government, and we sabotage it because this is what is happening.
Exactly.
The government has come up with this loan scheme for students. Why has there been one issue to the other around Nelfund? Why?
The other. If we are not talking of technical malfunction, we are talking of this other one. If we are not talking of this one, we are talking.
Since Nelfund came into being in this country, we've had to talk about one issue to the other around Nelfund, and now it is the school increasing school fee, raising it as high as 2 million naira. Oh no!
I don't know how we intend to progress.
Oh no!
In Nigeria, if we cannot be accountable for it, if we cannot be transparent once and for all, like if we cannot,
the economic life of people are not increased.
I do not really understand where we are going with all of these things we are doing. I mean, now institutions want to treat
Loan
student and loaning schemes
as a means of
as a
making
means of
money.
making money. This is really bad, because let's look at the other aspect of this thing. The educational sector, an academic environment whatsoever, is a place where students should go and learn. How did they say it? In learning and in character.
Character.
So what are we teaching these children at the end of the day?
Cynthia, we're about to have the high. If this happens, imagine the number of dropouts that will be in those schools. And then we are trying to build a country where we have educated people, right? We're already disadvantaged educationally in a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways.
In a lot of ways, we go to the villages and see how many people cannot afford school. How many people just end at primary school or secondary school because they cannot afford the exorbitant school fee. We're already educationally disadvantaged. That's why we'll keep being underdeveloped. That's one of the reasons, that's part of the reasons why they will keep, describing Nigeria as an underdeveloped country, as a third world country. Because where do we stand with our education? And while we are trying to fix that mess, a school is doing this. It calls for a lot of checks because we cannot be risking this educational inequality. It's gone on for too long. We must stand up. The government has to call them to book, call the vice chancellors involved, call as many people as need to be involved for checks. Let them explain to us what a public institution needs 2 million naira per student to do. After the school fee, you still pay for your accommodation. It doesn't cover your books.
It doesn't cover your books.
So they will have to explain if it covers the whole academic life of the student. If that's the case, maybe that's okay. But if that's not the case, then there's a problem.
If that's the case, maybe that's okay. I mean,
900%.
I'm just looking at.
Surge.
I'm looking at a whole lot of
900.
things. I'm looking at our condition in the country with poverty. I'm looking at. Let me just say economic stability in general. We know that whether we like it or not, an educated lot, should I put it that way, an educated people will tell on the workforce of that country.
Yes.
So imagine a country where we cannot afford basic education. Just basic education. How are we going to compete with, in the global stage?
I know that there are people who will be tempted to say the ones who are educated, who have no jobs, what's the point?
What's the point?
But can they at least be educated?
Can they be educated? Because exactly, it opens your mind to even want to be dependent on yourself. You want to, create things for yourself and find ways.
And now with this thing, the Nelfund process has been halted pending when they are done. So you can imagine the number of students who are going to be affected by some callous decision of the school from somewhere. This doesn't make any sense at all. A 900% surge is terrible. Terrible.
I mean, like a lot of things are coming to my mind. I like to give my own unpopular opinion. I'm trying to look at it from this other angle. Is it also an outcry from some of these institutions that we are not being taken care of?
But it shouldn't be through student loans. You can make your grievances. Why wait for student loans? There are several avenues. There are school unions. There are universities.
Nigeria is a very funny place.
So if you cannot make your case through the appropriate means, why use a system that's set up for students?
This is too bad.
Set up your own.
It's too
Set
bad.
up your own. Imagine it's the student who go and start. No. Let's call a spade, please. This is actually wrong. Even though Nelfund has refused to disclose the names of the schools, according to them, they're engaging them directly. I hope that it is halted. That kind of outrageous search cannot and must not see the light of tomorrow. It has to end. But that thing you said it's a point. It's a point because it's very possible that they are saying, okay,
since
the government
went on and came back to classes,
since the government
again,
cannot fix us, let us find a means
to or caught their attention.
Yes.
It may not necessarily be that they want to. I'm not trying to.
We're just really thinking from different spectrums. That's it.
Could it be that, okay, we just have to find something that we'll use to, drag their attention? They must, and now they have dragged their attention in some
Well, please don't
somehow.
drag this
No,
attention
no, no.
using
This is not a
student
good, because it's
loans.
going to raise BPs of parents and students, and we don't know what will happen next. And this
And
is not
just in
good.
case
It doesn't have a
you want
good
to
outlook
argue if
at all.
students have BPs, check.
They do.
They do.
I
They do. Young
yeah.
people struggle
Young
with
people
BP now,
struggle
and we
with it.
cannot
Yes.
risk it anymore.
Yes.
So it's a whole lot for students, and especially students who even face financial exclusion. First of all, it's difficult for you to raise money to train yourself. And so we have students who banked on student loans. In other climes, they have student loans. So you can go to school and pay those loans. And when we say, people come out every time to say, oh, can we copy the other side of the world? Can we copy the other side? Can we do things like them? There are student loans everywhere in other countries. Students can work and then, raise money to pay the loan with time. Very good. And we're trying to implement it. And we are the same ones trying to now sabotage it. So we cannot be like the other countries if we don't allow our things and our initiatives to fly well. We must support them. We must allow them to, get the support that they need, get the implementation that they need. And we cannot do that by cutting corners and doing all sorts of things every time. We don't want that, please. Because the way the Nelfund thing was arranged and the rate at which the students were supposed to make the payment, it was seamless. It was smooth.
Well, that brings another question to my mind. Another question, rather. This, because I've seen many loan defaults with countries that are already practicing this, like the US. Because I was reading something about something surrounding the educational systems in different countries, in Finland, in US. I was just trying to see where Nigeria stands and how we can, tap into some of what is working in these countries. And I saw that even in the US, their loan debts, there are so many defaults in the student loan scheme. So the loan debt has surpassed even the student loan, kind of like the budget that was assigned to loaning student for a particular year. It surpasses it. So I'm even thinking, in a country like Nigeria, you are saying the US, and we know to an extent things are working.
Stable.
There's employment to an extent. I know they have been suffering from unemployment too for a while now, but they have a robust, system. They have, when it comes to employment, and it's something is working there somehow. But in Nigeria, where we are complaining about unemployment, we are complaining about, you mentioned something, even after school, people will even ask, even after school, will I even be employed, and some of these things. So I'm even thinking, if this even works, I don't want a situation where it will begin to bring questions to the credibility of Nelfund at some point in time. They'll begin to say, were the loans disbursed well, were some kind of fishy, they'll begin to suspect some kind of fishy thing. But at the end of the day, they wouldn't know that these problems are coming from the fact that students did not pay back these loans in the way they are supposed to. So there's this whole thing is, so I just want them to carry out a stronger, oversight with all of these things, and see how institutions can be included properly. They need to structure everything, align everything needs to align. There needs to be transparency, and schools shouldn't. They should just do their check and balance at the end of the day. I don't have what to say because I'm really, really confused at this. There is a whole lot that comes to play when we talk of this issue. There is a whole lot. And if we want to begin to look into them one by one, I don't think I'm not that.
I mean, you made an example with US,
yes,
and then look at Nigeria. So imagine a person who is going to OA school, 2 million naira per session, graduates, and you're not even working a job that pays you up to 200,000. How are you supposed to raise 2 million naira to pay? So you can imagine the financial burden that will come on that child.
With other expenses in the country.
Crippling debts will be recorded post-graduation.
Yes.
The one that you cannot explain.
So I think this is even a chance for them to go and look at this thing, have like restructure look at this thing and see how,
Because
yes, I think they need to go and look at
by
it
all means,
well,
we don't want
yes.
to have the loan scheme at
No.
risk because
Mm-mm.
we are doing everything to
Mm.
democratize
Yes,
education access.
yes,
And we must uphold that. Education is the master key. We used to
yes.
sing that song when I was in primary
Mm,
school.
mm,
Education is a master key.
mm.
Education is power. But it cannot be power when we have crippling debt crisis
Yes,
looming around our
around.
educational system. So we must fix these things first. Go back to the drawing board.
Mm-hmm.
Nelfund has to go back to the drawing board
Mm-hmm.
and decide, is this scheme sustainable?
Mm.
Is this something that can help students really
Mm.
and not leave them in crippling debt crisis after
True.
graduation?
True.
Because post-graduation, there's a life. Beyond the
Mm.
four walls of school, there's a life.
Mm.
And you must come back to that life. You must live that life.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the same people. We do not want to risk that. We don't want to risk it.
Mm.
So, and we don't also want to have a lot of dropouts.
True.
So let everything be checked. Like Cynthia said, checks and balances. That's the
It
answer.
has to be done.
We need to check with, if we need the bigger spectacles, please, let's do it.
Mm.
If we need to call all the different committees to come together, let us really look at this scheme that we're coming up with.
Mm.
Beautiful, let's do it. But then I think that's how much you can take on the conversation.
Yes, yes, because, okay, you want my final, I know you're looking at me. Well, I've said everything that needs to be said. Not, it may not be everything, but something that needs to be said is there. I think we should pick something from it, but we do not want a system that we should it's high time we begin to prioritize building systems that will serve people, that will serve
Systems
the
that works,
society,
yeah.
systems that works. We shouldn't build systems that will serve themselves. So I think we should put, last words, checks and balances.
Thank you so much. And let's not allow Nelfund to become a ground for, very fishy financial practices, because that's what it's looking like now.
Right now,
We
yeah.
cannot risk that.
True.
The Nelfund is there to stay, and we hope that it stays for good.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we come your way next time. Do well to engage with us across the social media platform. Let's keep the conversation going. What do you think about Nelfund with this new 900% surge in schools, even though the names are undisclosed? What do you think? What can we say about it? Until we come your way next time, do well to take care of yourself and remember that you matter. My name is Chinatu Oji and I've been with
Cynthia Basi.
and we're saying bye for now. God, this fake